You are listening to the North Shore 9 podcast. Follow them on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Also, make sure to watch NS9 Live every Thursday on Twitch and help support by becoming a patron. Let's go Bucks!
Yo, yo, yo. Welcome to NS9 Live. I'm your host, Anthony DiNardo. With me, we got Tyler. We got Jim. We got a great night. There is just... Actually, I don't remember. How many days until opening day? Are we at like 12?
14.
14?
14,
Perfect.
2 weeks from today. Yeah.
Perfect. We are 14 days from opening day baseball. How's it going?
Yay.
Oh, Tyler. Ultimate
Opening
pessimist.
day baseball doesn't. No, opening day baseball does not matter as a Pirates fan right now because it's irrelevant until like 2 weeks in.
At
Because then
minimum?
we finally. Oh, at minimum, yes. It's all irrelevant until 2 weeks in.
We'll get to that, Tyler. Save the fun for the show.
Now I'm trying to the point. Let's go. Chop chop.
Why? Because last week was 2 hours. You're still salty about that?
I'm a sleepy boy. I'm just Josh, and I love you guys.
Jim, the ultimate optimist on the show, clearly. Why don't you go ahead and make the show a little more fun?
Yeah, we're at what, probably a week and a half now, at least a full week of spring training games. I don't know about you, but I've watched. I mean, luckily working from home, I can just like have the TV on in the background and kind of have it going. So, yeah, it's been fun. Every game I'm pretty sure has actually been televised so far, which has been pretty sweet. It's been fun to actually watch baseball. So it's been good stuff.
I've been relegated to highlights only because I actually work.
So funny thing about that is I'm almost with Tyler. I've watched some replays, like coming home and, like putting the game on, watching it. But it sucks. I'm back in the office too a bit. And it's not like, the past few years where you've been able to, well, I guess not 2020, you couldn't, period. But I guess when it restarted. But yeah, like you can't just sit home and have it on while you're working, like at least even in the background. So that sucks. I've been having to catch up to see my news. By the way, Vinny, what's up? What's up, Thomas? What's up, Ethan? And Marcus.
What's up, guys? No, but I mean it's been great. Mitch Keller was on the mound today, and I mean I'm sure we'll get into everything, but I think there's some reasons to be excited about a few people so far. I know it's only been a week of spring training, but you always mention it, DiNardo, where like it's not necessarily a matter of like the results. Like the results right now aren't really mattering, but like if something has changed from what you saw before, then it's like, okay, this is a little bit interesting. And Mitch Keller is a prime example of, okay, we haven't seen this from him. This is pretty interesting.
Boys, I'm buying the hype.
Tyler's in.
I'm buying. I'm cautiously optimistic right now.
Can I? Okay, so add my 2 cents onto this, right? You're right, Jim. Like I don't really care about results too much, but like if there's a fundamental change in something and results are coming, then I'm intrigued, right? And we've kind of dismissed Mitch Keller all off season. I mean, even talking about our Fort interview, we brought it up. Whatever. You're going to hear this every offseason by every player who's failed, more or less. But these 2 outings have looked good. And you know what made me kind of angry today too? Tonight's the hitter breakdown, and I kind of want to talk about Mitch Keller. Because there's not too much optimism on the hitting side here. And like you can at least talk about Mitch Keller in a good way. So I feel like we should talk, but I think next week, we're going to definitely save it. Hopefully the results continue next week and we can really break him down. But I'm with you guys. I've dismissed it, but now I'm intrigued.
Yeah, I mean, you see guys that can, throw upper 90s in their bullpens and go to drive line and their fancy radar detectors have them up in the upper 90s and they get on the mound. They're back to 92, 93.
Yep.
Right.
We're not seeing that.
And this is spring training. This
where you
isn't
shouldn't
June.
not normally throwing upper 90s.
Right. And hitting 100. I mean, technically, the radar showed 100. It was like 99 point whatever, but this is Mitch Keller we're talking about too.
Yeah, we're not talking about like some random guy. Like we're talking about someone who has the pedigree. Coming through the minors, he was very highly regarded, across the board by pretty much every scout you would talk to or read. And then it was just when he got to those upper levels, something happened. His command just wasn't there anymore. We saw him get to Pittsburgh and the stuff just wasn't really overwhelming, right? But it's just something like there's a difference between throwing 93 and throwing 98. And I mean, I tweeted it today that throwing 98 when you used to throw 93 just is an instant raise to your ceiling. Like you can only do so much if you're throwing 93. When you're throwing 98, it's like, here's what you can do. And it goes up to here. So I'm excited to see what he can do. So far the results have been good. He's not really striking out people still like at a crazy clip, but he's also only been it's been like 4 innings. Yeah, it's only been like 4 innings so far. So we're at an extremely small sample size. But just looking at the stuff, like it is different than anything we've ever seen Mitch Keller do before.
Very interested to see if he can hold that velocity beyond the 2 innings he's been given per game.
Very true. Like, I hope this doesn't mean like he's become a reliever now. But again, so going off this off season, like we saw it in the off season, and of course it's the off season, whatever. Now he's doing it in game, but also on top of it, like this is the time of the year where you're not seeing that. I mean, just hypothetically, I'm just putting this out here. Like, are we going to see him top 100 eventually if he's doing this right now?
I mean, he hit 100 today.
So,
technically on StatCast, it was 99.8, but
and that's right. That's what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
Like, but like, are we going to see 101 from Mitch Keller in May, in June?
That would be nice, wouldn't it?
I don't know.
So where'd this come from? Yeah, like this is just this. Yeah. This is amazing me. Now, like I said, now at this point in time. Well, has it though?
I mean, there's a reason he was so highly regarded because he threw hard and his curveball was nasty.
So what I like about it is now that we're starting to see in game, right? A little bit of results. The results are good. We've always felt confidence was a thing about Mitch Keller. We've always felt like he needs to go out there and just feel like he's better. To Jim's point, when you have 93, it's not really overpowering stuff, right? You gotta be you gotta hit your spots. You gotta be on point. Mitch Keller wasn't that, right? And your confidence is low, probably makes it even worse. He's got 98, 99 tucked away now, right? Now he feels like I'm a big badass. Like is this gonna help us? Like, is this like the catalyst? Should I say? Is this the catalyst to get him to where he needs to be in his confidence to now feel like he's a big badass? This is why, as a big top prospect, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to strike you out. I'm going to give you my best stuff.
He has the stuff now to do it. Right. So, like, yeah, I mean, if he's not confident throwing 99, I don't really know how you can be confident. So, yeah, it's nice to see the stuff there. It's something we've never seen before. Now it's just a matter to see how it translates. But so far, looks good.
I think it's kind of like a chicken or the egg type of deal, because you wonder if he wasn't throwing this hard because he was so cautious about hitting his spots, and did something maybe click where screw it, I'm just gonna throw hard. I'm gonna throw as hard as I can. Charlie Morton did it. He just decided one day, I'm gonna throw hard now.
That's a good point.
So I'm sure there was some mechanical tweaks they made, but to be able to throw that hard, you have to at least have some confidence at this point.
So he gets away from Pirates. He goes third party, gets his confidence, gets his mechanics. Now he's going to be the pitcher that we've all been craving. again, pump the brakes, pump the brakes, pump the brakes. 4 innings, but again, what we've seen so far, it's intriguing. I'm on board again. This like I said, I think last week, right, or week before that, where I mentioned how like he's the new Polanco. Polanco's gone, so now it's I'm on board with Keller. I'm on board. Let's see it until you prove me wrong. Okay.
Yeah, it's a good way to put it. I'm in.
So since we were talking about the lineup tonight, it's nothing but Mitch Keller.
Right.
Again, we'll save it for next week. Some more, I'm sure. We'll have some more outings as well to talk about. But that was good. So do we want to talk anything before we like get into the lineup? Was there anything else that I guess you guys stood out so far in this week of spring training we've had?
I know Jim wants to talk about Will Crow, but
we'll talk about Will Crow next week. Yeah, we'll do Will Crow next week.
Just glad baseball's back. How about, I mean, not Pirates related, but how about like Max Scherzer just giving 5 innings in spring training right off the bat? How crazy was that?
I mean, why not though? I like it.
Oh, I liked it. I'm just saying, like this dude comes over, has this huge ass contract by the Mets, right? And the Mets are just nothing but bad luck.
Mm-hmm.
We've had no spring, and he's like, I'm throwing 5. Don't take me out.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably one of those things where every pitcher is going to be at a different place at this point in time. He probably already ramped up a little bit, so he didn't have to go out there and only throw 1 inning or 2 innings. Scherzer is one of those guys where, like, when he goes out there opening day, he wants to throw 9, right? So, he needs to, if he wants to ramp up for 9, he's got to start off at 5 and go 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, right? Whereas, pitchers that we're used to, they don't go past the 5th inning. So, we don't.
Some of them don't go past the 4th.
We don't have to worry about that sort of thing.
And that's not being cautious usually. That's just they're not making it 5.
True. All right. So then, shall we get to the lineup here? Should we talk? Should we discuss?
Let's do it.
All right. Where do we want to start with this lineup? I mean, clearly we know Bryan Reynolds is a lock, assuming he's still on the team for the whole year. So Bryan Reynolds is a lock to be on there. It's hitting well so far in spring, right? I mean, nothing to complain about, nothing to really talk about. Still, for everyone, and I know the weird thing too is it's March 24th right now, and like no one has more than just a handful of bats, anyways. So there's not a whole lot we can really dive in as far as like spring goes. But just so far what we've seen, and of course, again, we know the player he was last year. Bryan Reynolds is a lock, probably the 3-hole or 2-hole. What do you guys think?
I'd just keep it 3.
3.
Yeah, I mean, my guess he's probably the number 3 hitter, but looking at this lineup, who knows? But yeah, like you mentioned, he looks good. Nothing concerning about him at all. He looks good. He seems ready to go. Shouldn't have any issues with Bryan Reynolds starting off the year.
Maybe I'm just scarred from the year the Pirates put Kutch second, but I don't need that experiment again.
Right.
I get the benefit of it. I don't need it.
It's a good point. I mean, if he's comfortable hitting third and he's demonstrated that he's really good at doing it, why rock the boat? I get that.
And like, especially now, it's not as if we need to really pull out some more wins. It's not like, come on, you look at this lineup, you really fit in that 2-hole. Like Bryan Reynolds literally fits in every hole right now. Like he's probably our best leadoff hitter. He's the best 2-hole. He's a 3. Like he's the best at every spot you put him in. So
yeah,
if he's comfortable with 3, just chill him at 3 for now.
Although I would be intrigued to have him hit second behind Bryan Hayes.
Sure.
So that's, something Bryan Hayes has been getting some time in the leadoff spot so far this spring. At least I know I think he started at least 1 or 2 games there. Mm-hmm. Thoughts on that, I guess.
I like it because you have nothing else.
Well, that's why I hate it, because it's just by default. Like you just have nothing else. I don't know, at least to this point, if like, I don't know. I guess maybe hear your thoughts, but like, I don't know if Bryan Hayes and leadoff really sits too well.
Why? I'd like to hear your reasons why.
Does he really get on base?
Better than everyone else on the team other than
But that's what I'm
Bryan
getting
Reynolds.
at. But that's what I'm getting
But he does. But he actually doesn't. Like Ben Gamble had a higher OBP last year than Brian Hayes.
Yeah, we're throwing last year out. That didn't count. If that one home run, if he steps on first base, he probably has a higher OBP.
I think if you're looking at the,
but it's like Kevin Newman was a leadoff hitter for how long last year, and it's like, why?
True. I think if you're looking at the lineup in like how these players are, Brian Hayes may be your best option in the number one hole. I don't think that's like the best spot for him, just like in general though. Like I feel like to be like a leadoff hitter, you know, your approach is different as a leadoff hitter. Like you're really just trying to get on base for the most part. Like, so I don't know if like that would throw him off. Maybe like would he be changing his approach because he's hitting leadoff, or is he gonna just do what he would normally do but just bat first? Because like I'm fine with like you put him first, but like don't tell him to change his approach at all. Just say, hey, this is just where you're hitting tonight. Don't do anything different. Like be you. Then I'm fine with it because then it's just a matter of like where he's coming up to hit.
Sure.
And like you mentioned, there's not really many options in this lineup to bat in that spot. I mean, they actually had Vogelbach batting leadoff today.
Right. Well,
which like from an on base standpoint, like maybe he is that best option, right? I mean, probably your best option realistically is Bryan Reynolds, right? But that's not going to happen with this team. So
because then no one's going to be able to hit Bryan Reynolds in.
Right. I think you're going to see like kind of a revolving door in that one hole. Honestly, I don't think Hayes sticks. Like, I don't think that's where Hayes ends up being. I think just kind of whoever's playing second base or right field that day, like kind of gets rotated in and out of there. So I could see Cole Tucker. I could see Greg Allen. I could see Michael Chavis. I could see Kevin Newman all batting leadoff.
Good Lord, murder's row.
So again, that speaks more to like what we're talking about. Like you can see all those, but it's not as if Hayes is going to be there because he is just such a great leadoff hitter. It's just because those are the guys that are in this lineup. I don't want any of those guys pretty much anywhere in the lineup.
And to answer Jim's earlier point about Hayes potentially changing his approach, he hit leadoff like 16 games last year and he walked 2.4% of the time. So he did not change his approach to try to be a typical leadoff.
Okay. That's a good point.
Good to know.
If you're looking at somebody who like fits the mold, right? Like in an ideal situation, if he could finally like figure out how to hit, Cole Tucker walks a lot at least. Like, but I mean, I guess we want to talk about Cole Tucker. He's actually looked pretty good so far this spring. He's moving around the field. He's playing some outfield. He's playing some second base. First off, does he make the team?
Well, it's not as if the team gave him many reasons to have to try. I'm sorry, but I think a lot of us felt like Cole Tucker's might be on the chopping block.
Mm-hmm.
And by default, he's probably not, because it's, again, they're not making him battle for anything. There's no outside competition.
I think he's battling. I think he's definitely battling for a 25-man roster spot.
I mean, he is, and I'm being a little bit facetious, but it's not really as if. Yeah. I mean, he probably should be gone, but he's not.
There's no probably about it. He had
one also
last year.
Yeah. Also, keep in mind, I guess for April,
right,
there's going to be 28 guys. So that almost, with 28 guys, he's probably in. I actually don't see a situation how he couldn't be.
I'm with you, but
I mean, Vinny says here, bare minimum, Vinny says Cole Tucker replaces Wilmer Defoe as super utility guy. I mean, that's kind of what they're doing with him, right? He's been learning the outfield for how long now? we talked about there's going to be a spot for him. It's going to be because of his versatility, right? He knows all the positions. So, I mean, I can see that.
Yep. That makes sense.
He's going to be an opening day starter, isn't he?
I think it all depends on if they bring Oneil Cruz north, then that shifts around a lot of stuff. But if Oneil Cruz doesn't make the opening day roster, then I think Cole Tucker is your starting second baseman.
Yeah, I think it's a 99.99% chance that Oneil Cruz is going to AAA.
Which is why I'm rocking my Indians hat today. My Indians hat.
He is going to AAA.
I am willing to hang tight for a little bit.
I am too.
We're gonna talk. I know we're gonna talk about Oneil Cruz specifically, so I'll wait off a little bit on that. But just in regards to this, like if Oneil Cruz here, like Jim says, I think he answers it. Right, he's in the lineup, so there's no room for Cole Tucker. But if not, who's really your other options for second base right now? Like, is it
Chavis.
really Chavis? And again, these are all
Diego
small
Castillo.
sample, but
Chavis and Park. Chavis and Park are probably your other options.
Right.
Diego Castillo.
And Castillo.
Yeah.
Who he's 24. Should have got off the pot.
Oh, I mean, Castillo is definitely not a guy that like you're playing the service time manipulation game with. Like it's either like if Castillo is good enough to be on the team, he's on the team. If he's not, then he's not. Yeah.
I know, but I'd rather watch him than Cole Tucker. We know what Cole Tucker is. Bad. If I had to spell it out.
I don't disagree with you.
I think we have, honestly, like you've seen enough from Cole Tucker. Now, clearly he's probably going to be this team, so he'll be afforded some more opportunity, and there's that slim chance still that he could find something, then fine. But, like, I don't have the same thoughts and ideas about Cole Tucker as I just let off the show. I think all of us, like with Mitch Keller. Like, I'm not waiting to be intrigued by Cole Tucker anymore. I don't think it's there. Really, I don't think any of us have really felt it was there ever, like from the time he was drafted. So, with the Cole Tucker situation, it's to me whatever. Like Tyler's saying, I think I would rather see Diego Castillo, like someone else. Let's just see what they have because there still can be plans with them. There's some pedigree. I mean, at least Cole Tucker level pedigree to those guys, opposed to being a first round pick that maybe you shouldn't have been to begin with, right? But like, I'm cool with seeing those guys at this point in time. But I think ultimately, like Cole Tucker's here. I don't know. I don't know. Like I'm so torn on it. You should have just made an actual move. That way he doesn't have to be in this situation. Should be on a minor league deal somewhere.
Yeah, I just don't need to see any more Cole Tucker. I'm good.
Yeah.
We don't need this.
But all likelihood is he will be here.
Correct.
I don't see any situation really that Tucker's not here. And really the versatility plays a big part in that. Diego Castillo is an interesting one because dude played pretty well last year. Like between AA, AAA, he held his own. He played really well in AAA. He doesn't look overmatched by any means in the spring training at bats that I've seen of him. He looks like he, certainly belongs in big league camp. Like sometimes when you see a guy from the minors come up and, kind of face this atmosphere for the first time, you see guys just don't really look the part. But like Diego Castillo looks the part. You would think that he's a big leaguer just based off of what you've seen. Again, it's a week, right? But I mean, I'm with Tyler. I would love for Diego Castillo to make this team. I don't know if it's going to happen because it would probably mean DFAing some people, and I don't know if they want to do that this early in the year, like from a depth chart standpoint. Like the fact that Diego Castillo has 3 options, and let's see, just looking at the list here. Castillo has 3 options, and
What's
who
Tucker
doesn't
have
have an
left?
option, right? Tucker has an option left.
Okay.
But does Greg Allen has to either make it or get DFA'd, right? So does Greg Allen automatically make the team, which means then does that mean Tucker gets a spot and Castillo doesn't? So I mean, those are kind of things you have to look at when you're constructing a roster. Same with Anthony Alford. Anthony Alford has no options, right? I know I'm not an Anthony Alford fan, but if Anthony Alford doesn't make this team, he gets DFA'd, right? So are you DFAing Alford to
Yes.
roster Castillo? I would certainly do that, right? But it's just a matter of from a depth chart standpoint, we've seen that they a lot of times won't DFA people right out of spring training because they don't want to lose that guy. And we saw it last year with all their outfielders, right? They took the guy who was on the roster, right? They didn't take those minor league free agents who were probably better fits. So I think that's what we may see again is just kind of Castillo just gets squeezed out and then he starts at AAA and then maybe comes up later on in the year. Because I'm not sure if they're willing to just give up on they rostered Alford throughout this whole offseason. I don't really know what Alford could do in the 3 weeks of spring training for the Pirates to just completely give up on him before the season starts, right? If they kept Alford throughout the offseason, my guess is Alford's on this team.
That is,
and I think probably this,
go ahead, Tyler.
And I think the same probably goes for Greg Allen too.
How many times do we have to go through this Anthony Alford experiment?
I think this,
Has anybody
So
done
many,
less
it hasn't started.
for this long?
yeah,
He hasn't been given
I
his
think this
opportunity.
is I think this is the last shot, the last time we do the Anthony Alford experiment. But
Has there
Yeah.
ever been someone that has done less than him and kept his job for 3 years?
Jim.
Kevin Newman.
At least there was some previous.
I guess, and he plays
That's
good
true.
defense
At least
too,
he had a
but,
3
yeah.
war season. He was
Yeah.
decent.
Cole Tucker.
My God.
I just the thing that gets me too, Anthony Alford and Greg Allen. I agree with Jim. They're here. They were brought in. They were kept, and I don't foresee a reason that they're just going to magically go away at this point in time. I personally would rather see Diego Castillo. So here's something really bothers me. We've been on it all off season. Why don't you go sign a veteran bat? Could be cheap, play a corner outfield, whatever. And it's not that there's many, right? It's not like everyone's coming at us for this, but you get the group of people that'll get on you and well, why? Why do it? Why spend the money? Why do that? Just let the kids play. Just let the kids play. Even though you think they're going to be bad, just let the kids play. Greg Allen is 29 years old. Anthony Alford is about to be 28. These aren't kids. These are not kids. These are men who have failed as MLB players. And actually, some of them have not been really good minor league players either. So this isn't, some of these free agents that are being signed are younger than Greg Allen. I'm sorry. If you're worried about not playing the kids because you're bringing in a free agent who's younger than Greg Allen, that's where I'm at. So why do we have to invest on these 29-year-old men playing the outfield who have no future? Sorry. I'm calling it as it is. Greg Allen is not that good. Anthony Alford is not that good. Purge them. Move on. Get Diego Castillo in here. Let him play a little bit. I would much rather. That's the kid. That's the kid. He's 20. Technically, he's an old prospect in that sense. But he's a 24-year-old dude. Let him be up here. If you want to see the kids play, that's the kid. Not Anthony Alford, not Greg Allen.
Yep. We've been saying it for a while. They just, I don't know, man. We go about it every year ad nauseum about this, how they just continue to trot out the same old shitty veterans that are quad A players, 27, 28, 29, with like 5% chance. Well, we watch, the prospects in the system that probably stink, but might not just dwell away in AAA until June when then they get their cup of coffee. And then when they're 27, they're that quad A player.
And not to
If they
take
keep
away what
around
you
for too
said,
long.
Yeah.
but like the one thing that you just said, I want to hit on. You said like these veterans, and yeah, like by default they're veterans. But to be
In
honest,
age.
like Cole Tucker has more MLB experience than these veterans you're talking about. They're 29 years old, so it's not as if they're coming in as these proven veterans to help this young club. I mean, they spent most of their lives on a bus too.
Yeah, they're just veterans in age, I should say. They're old.
Yeah, I mean, Anthony Alford's picking up really right where he left off. He's had 10 at bats this spring, and he's struck out 7 times. He's over 10 with 7 strikeouts. But yeah, like, I mean, I guess like if it gets to the point where he's like 2 for 40 with 30 strikeouts, at that point, are they then going to be like, you know what, this is enough? But
you have
I
to,
think,
right?
you would
have
think.
to. I
You
mean,
would
I'm
think.
sorry. There's not a team out there that's saying, hey, guys, Anthony Alford's on the waiver wire. Let's go pick him up.
Also true. Like, if they DFA Anthony Alford after a shitty spring, he's passing through waivers.
He's
You
going
know,
to
they-
KBO.
Yeah.
He's already done it in season.
But yeah, I think that's just
The KBO.
That's where he's
Let's
going.
call it that.
I'm really surprised that he's honestly that they kept him on the roster throughout the offseason, because like that was a valuable 40-man spot that they could have used on like Cal Mitchell, and they didn't. They used it on Anthony Alford instead.
Big facts. And just to put it out there, and I'm sure this might be part of it, but he is a Charrington guy. Like Charrington brought him in. You know, Cole Tucker is at least the old regime. You could make the argument, which is funny because he's still here, but I didn't draft Cole Tucker, so I'm fine in getting rid of him. But Anthony Alford is a Charrington guy, so I'm sure there's a part of him like, I want to make sure I'm right and make sure he succeeds. I'm holding on every chance I get, clearly to a fault.
Also, there's the whole thing where they don't have many guys that can play center field.
True.
They have a very unathletic outfield.
Yeah, I mean, Greg Allen could play center. I would think, and then obviously Alford can as well. But yeah, I mean, at this point, if we're keeping one of the two, like if it's, I would love to just keep one of the two. Like, I don't want both Alford and Allen on this team. Give me one of them. And like, I'd probably rather have Greg Allen just because he actually is the better player, in my opinion. But I don't know. I see them taking both. And then what I think that does is it squeezes someone like Diego Castillo off the team.
I'd have to go through the math, but is Hoy Park another one of those guys that, how many options does he have?
So Hoy Park has 3 options.
So he's going to AAA.
And he came over late too, right? Didn't he just get here?
So he just got here yesterday.
Yeah.
And he homered in his first at bat.
Of course he
did. But Hoy Park's another one of those guys where kind of in the Cole Tucker mold, is versatile. He can play a bunch of different positions. He can play pretty much anywhere on the field. So like that alone brings him some value. I
The reason I asked what I feel like say is I could see him being one of those guys that doesn't break camp right away because he just showed up. That could be the excuse in that sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. Again, though, with the expanded rosters with 28 people, like they're going to be able to carry an extra bench bat that they wouldn't have before. I would think that maybe they'll just use it on 2 pitchers. Who knows? I don't know how they're going to use it. I mean, they could just roll with a 17 pitcher bullpen or something. It's stupid. But I think Hoy Park is probably, like, if you're looking at Park, Allen, Alford, Hoy Park is probably like 3rd on that list, just because of the options that he has.
Yeah, I'm just going through the depth chart right now. You could pretty much throw a dart and DFA any of these guys, and I just would not care.
Right. To like what Jim was saying, about like the roster construction and the depth and all that. I mean, that part is true. Like, I get, like, any normal GM, you have to factor those, right? This guy has options, this doesn't. That could be a deciding factor. It just ultimately, the problem is when you look at this club, most of these players are DFA'd on any other club. Like, you're not worried about losing an Anthony Alford. You're not worried about losing a Greg Allen. Like, you're not worried about losing a Cole Tucker. So that's just what we're dealing with. Like, yes, some options, like, these things are going to play a part of this, but ultimately, at the end of the day, you shouldn't care that you're going to lose Anthony Alford because he has no options left. And that's why I'm going to keep him instead of Diego Castillo. Like, get Castillo up here. Forget Anthony Alford. Move on. Did you find anything, Tyler?
Yeah.
I mean, this is like the most focused I've ever seen you in my life.
So
how many beers tonight?
The only reason, 0.
There you go.
So the only reason that I do look focused is because I'm blind and I can hardly read this. So I keep trying to hit the zoom button to make it bigger. It's not working.
I will say this, based off of, like, Fangraphs has updated their roster resource page with, like, their projected roster, like opening day roster, and it has 28 guys on it, and both Hoy Park and Greg Allen are both making the team according to them, as well as Anthony Alford. But they also have, actually, no, they do not. They do not have Oneil Cruz. They just made that change. Oneil Cruz was on here as of yesterday. They just updated it.
The same thing, because I'm pretty sure I did not count to 28. No, I counted 28. Yep. Yeah, 19 plus 9, 28. Good brain. So they have the Pirates carrying 4 bench bats.
4 bench bats, yeah. And a billion-person bullpen. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10-person bullpen.
You can go ahead and trim that down a hair. Yeah.
So you're thinking there's going to be 1 more bat?
I would prefer to have 1 more bat, especially if you're going to have a universal DH this year.
So I feel like you don't need the bats if you have a universal DH.
I just want the bat because you can just toss dudes into the DH spot and figure out who works.
Okay.
Also, if you really want to get into the platooning, it'd be nice to have another bat because these guys can hardly hit lefties or righties as is. We might as well play the odds.
These guys also can hardly pitch, so they're going to need a lot of arms to get through 9 innings of baseball.
Right.
It is a fair point, but
especially with this schedule.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're probably right about the 4 bench bats. That might be right. But those are some shitty bench bats.
I mean, look at the starting bats.
I know. They have Cole Tucker starting at second
Look
base.
At 3 through 9. If Hayes,
I mean, they have Alford. Guy. Yeah, I mean, they have Alford starting in right. They've got Tucker starting at second, which, like, I think as of right now, I would probably have Greg Allen in the outfield. Like, if we aren't bringing Oneil Cruz North with us,
they're not.
I would not. There's no way that Anthony Alford would be starting opening day. There's just no way.
So, and as we're talking live, because what I was going to say is, Tyler got on us because we talked about some random pitcher, right, that was picked up in the wire for 5 minutes. And, like, we've talked about Anthony Alford again for 20, 30, like, what's it been, chat? I don't know. So I guess if we're going to move on, like, we're talking about just the outfield.
Well,
I'm with you guys.
To add one more thing, I want to add one more thing to this. The one adjustment the easy adjustment I think you make if you really want to go north with this club is you option Hoy Park and bring up Castillo, put Cole Tucker on the bench.
Or put Cole Tucker in right field.
I think.
Or
So here's the
whatever,
question.
yeah.
Here's the question, right? So we're going that route. So we're talking about outfield in general. We didn't really talk about Ben Gamble much. I mean, I think Ben Gamble's also circled in, like he's an outfielder. Reynolds is an outfielder. And then you're worried about, is it Greg Allen? Is it Anthony Alford? Is it Cole Tucker? All these options, right? I'm with you. If it's an Alford or Allen thing, I'm taking Allen. Alford could be your fourth one. If you're saying goodbye to Anthony Alford and get Diego Castillo up here, like I would go ahead and play Castillo at second base and then let Cole Tucker be his super utility guy they're trying to make him into. And again, you could have Allen starting as your right fielder, or you can make that switch. Like you could have Cole Tucker be your right fielder, and then Anthony or Greg Allen is just the fourth outfielder. But I feel like they're trying to, and he has that utility, that versatility. Like Cole Tucker is a super utility type of player. He can play short, he can play second, the whole outfield and such. So maybe you just do it that route. But again, that means Diego Castillo being up here, and he's your starting second baseman at that point in time.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of positional flexibility with this roster, but that's mainly because nobody's good, but everybody can play everywhere. They've got a utility belt galore.
I mean, it's true.
Roster.
Yeah. If you are actually good, you have a position, right? If you're not good, you just play wherever. And we have a lot of play wherever type of guys.
Can I add a point to Tyler's point here?
Mm-hmm.
That we're still premature on, because this will lead to our next point. So are you trying to say that all these middle infielders that the Pirates have, right, are athletic enough that they can just play all these other positions, which is why there's all this position flexibility, because there's a lot of middle infielders that are athletic enough to just play other positions?
Yeah, but you hope that those middle infielders that you traded for and drafted are a lot better than these ones.
No, I get that. I'm just saying, so what you're trying to say is if some reason playing middle infield doesn't work out, they can probably just play another position quite easily and not take 2 or 3 years to develop going from a shortstop to an outfield position, right? So there's no need to move anyone off infield now, since it's a quite early learning curve to move to an outfield spot. Oneil Cruz.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't play Division I baseball.
Okay. Kudos. But anyways, yes, you are right. There is a lot of flexibility. I get that. And I think it's, there's a little bit of design there. And I think that's what we talk about Cole Tucker. Like, that's why he should learn it. Because if he's going to have a job, it's going to be because he is able to play all the positions, not because he has a bat and he's really good at one.
If he has a job, it's because he's pretty.
Just that.
Because his next job's going to be a talk show host. It's not going to be a Major League Baseball. He's going to be a hell of a broadcaster one day.
So do we want to get into the main thing here? I mean, do we want to get into it? I mean,
let's finish up the roster. Let's finish up the lineup.
Okay.
Because I feel like we'll never finish it. It's going to be like last week when we got to one acquisition the Pirates made, and then we got to the second of the 4 an hour and a half into the show. So let's finish the roster, and then we'll get.
Where are we at?
So
Are we on the outfield right now?
Well, we haven't talked about catcher. I mean, Roberto Perez
what I
is
wanna talk
pretty
about.
much. Roberto Perez is your catcher.
Right.
I think Michael Perez is your backup. Like I know there's also out there Taylor Davis and Jamie Ritchie, but just give me Perez and Perez. I think that those are the two best options there. The other two, as much as Michael Perez sucks, he doesn't suck as much as those other two guys.
Michael Perez is literally a below average Major League Baseball player. And he's their second best catching option.
And yet He's better than the other options.
He was worth negative WAR as a catcher. That's impossible unless you are terrible.
Where they're handed WAR.
They are. Like, you have to be very bad at catching a baseball and hitting to play that position and have a negative WAR. Shout out Ryan Newman.
I mean, he's now put together back-to-back sub 40 weighted runs created plus seasons.
So you're telling me there's not one dude in AAA out there that is just not a complete embarrassment behind the plate?
I don't think Taylor Davis or Jamie Ritchie. I don't think either of them are Todd Ritchie. I don't think either of them are capable of being major league catchers. No,
I'm
like
just talking
not
about
in any way.
Anywhere.
Oh, anywhere? Probably.
Someone has to be out of options and is on their way out of Major League Baseball, but they just need one more swan song. And they will be better than Michael Perez.
Just call up Buster Posey, see what he's doing.
Not playing for the Pirates, I can tell you that much.
What if the Pirates were like, hey, Buster, we'll give you $30 million, 1 year deal?
First off, you know that ain't happening. Second off, he still might have to think about it.
I would say no.
I think he's also still technically a Giant. Like if he were to come back, like would he have to be a Giant? I think he probably
still
would.
Under contract,
yeah,
right? Like
so yeah. No. So it wouldn't work anyways.
But yeah, like so mind you, to Tyler's point, you guys' point. I mean, so like in the 2 seasons, he's had this sub 40 WRC plus, right? In the 2 seasons, he's amassed 320 plate appearances and has a negative 1.4 WAR.
As a catcher.
That's your best.
I mean,
as a backup.
Yeah, I mean, Jamie Ritchie is someone who like maybe could do that same thing. He's hit throughout the minors, okay, but like there's a reason why if you're a catcher, you haven't made the majors by the time you're 29 years old, you know. So,
not to mention with the universal DH, Michael Perez is probably going to get a lot more action because Roberto Perez is going to get days off that he probably wouldn't normally because they can just DH him.
If
somebody was still
if Roberto Perez was a Buster Posey type, where you want his bat in the lineup,
yeah,
I think. But because Roberto Perez is a Roberto Perez type, I don't know if that's going to really factor in too much.
Yeah, I don't know how many starts either Perez gets at DH this year.
When your DH options are going to be Cole Tucker or give Roberto Perez on his off day.
Well, no, like Vogelbach is probably your main DH.
And then whenever he gets DFA'd in June because he's terrible.
I don't think Vogelbach's getting DFA'd. Like, I mean, Vogelbach's proved over the course of his career he's at least a competent major league hitter.
He's at least he's Colin Moran, basically.
Yeah,
you weren't DFA'ing Colin Moran.
He's good enough to be on
this
teams.
I mean, if a Colin Moran's getting DFA'd, there's 10 other players should be DFA'd before him last year. Minimum.
Yeah. Plus, he's getting guaranteed money. Like, they're not going to cut him. They got to pay him anyways. So now it's only $1 million, but still.
It is only $1 million. But I mean, that's like 1/30 of the payroll.
Yeah, but I mean, like he is over the last 4 years, he has demonstrated he is a completely average major league hitter. So he's not going anywhere. Like average major league hitter is like the third best hitter on this team.
I guess in my brain, I still think that this team, in the back of my mind, has some competency. I'm thinking about this team as a normal one where you would want to like give your okay catcher an off day by throwing him in the DH role without taking the bat out of the lineup. It doesn't matter with this team.
And that's, I think, like you're right in that thinking, but not really with this team and that catcher. So think about like back in Cervelli's days. Like how many times do you think he might get a day off in DH? Probably quite a few.
Mhm.
Like that would probably be a perfect fit. But on this team, and then Roberto Perez, I'm not too sure if you're trying to really fight to get. But at the same point, like what we're saying, who's he taking bats away? Like, so you need to make sure Cole Tucker's in there. You need to make sure Greg Allen's in there. You know, so I guess maybe he does find one or two extra starts at DH. We'll have a day off because of that.
I mean, I'll be pretty upset if Yoshi and Vogelbach are both going to be in the lineup every single game against a right-handed pitcher. Like that's a given.
Should be.
So there really isn't too many options. Like against a lefty, you're probably leaving Vogelbach out of there, and you might even be leaving Yoshi out of there, and you're going with Chavis at first base and someone else at DH. But I mean Vogelbach and Yoshi are both going to get over 400 plate appearances on this team. So I mean those are two guys that you can't really forget about them. They're there and they're going to play pretty much every day.
All right, so catcher's pretty much. I'm not going to say solved, but answered. So it's the Perez's. Outfield, we think we pretty much locked up. First base, DH, right? We just talked about them. Did we talk about short? No, third base, right? It's Hayes. We know it's Hayes. Is there anything backing up Hayes, or is like, hey, Hayes, this is your job. You're here every single day. Don't you dare move.
Yeah, I mean Hayes is playing every day that he can, and that was actually something he did. It was actually pretty cool. Robbie interviewed him on AT&T Sportsnet yesterday. I think it was yesterday, and I swear it was the most words I've ever heard Ke'Bryan Hayes say. Like at one time, it was a nice 8-minute long interview, and Hayes talked the entire time. It was kind of crazy. But one of the things that Hayes said, first off, the wrist, he said he doesn't even realize that it was ever hurt. So that's good news. But he said one of the things that he really wanted to just focus on this year more than anything was just being available every day. Like that was like his number one thing, was just to be there and be able to play every single day. And I think especially with having the DH there, you can kind of use that as a way to give him de facto off days. Like we talked about against the left-handed pitcher, right? You're not going to play Yoshi. You're not going to play Vogelbach. Go ahead and throw Ke'Bryan Hayes at DH every once in a while against the lefty. Put somebody at third base, and then that's your way of kind of giving Hayes a day off. So I think you're going to see Hayes. There's no reason why he shouldn't get 155 games this year, and just be out there every single day, unless he gets hurt. And then so far he seems fine. The wrist is fine, barring some other injury.
Yep. And then you got Castillo, Hoy Park, and Cole Tucker to fill in at third base whenever he goes to the DH.
Depending on who's there.
Newman can play third too. Yeah, I mean they got a plethora of guys who can play third base if they have to.
Right. Okay. So then shortstop. Kevin Newman, right? Who's albeit batting 429, OPS of 1,000 right now, I think.
We're doing this again.
Yeah. Look at that. 429 OPS 1,000. Kevin Newman. Let's go back how we started this, right? There's results and a fundamental change, right? So Kevin Newman has changed his swing. And there's results. So are we buying in this now?
No.
The faces on both of you right now, like the exact same face. It's like a kid who worked up with the worst Christmas gift in the world. What the F is this shit, Mom?
I didn't want a Kevin Newman.
He's gonna start there.
So I'm like not ready to give it up yet because I think it's gonna be so damn difficult for this team to go north without Oneil Cruz. Like I know that like clearly they don't care about PR with a lot of things that they've done. But like I don't know how you could sell this. Every single person who's ever watched a baseball game can clearly see that like Oneil Cruz is legit. He's the real deal. He's ready. There is nothing else for Oneil Cruz to work on. Like he is a major league hitter and he looks like a damn good major league hitter. Like I'm not talking about like this guy's solid. Like he looks really good. Like when he's on the field, he's the best player on the field. That's what we've seen from him every single time we've seen him. And like I don't know. I'm scared to see what the reaction would be like if they came out and said, you know what, we're optioning Oneil Cruz to AAA. He needs some more time. And he's just out here peppering baseballs off the top of roofs, 60 feet past the fence. He's lining. He's hitting 114 mile an hour line drives off of lefties. He's getting hits off of all-star left-handed relief pitchers. Like he looks so good right now. And I know we've gone through this a few times as Pirate fans, like going through spring training and seeing a prospect and like thinking that he's ready. And I don't think I've ever seen somebody this ready. Like I've never seen someone this ready for major league pitching than I've seen Oneil Cruz right now. And so like for someone to come on like a TV or talk to a reporter and say, we're rolling with Kevin Newman over this guy. Like, I'm sorry. I don't believe you. How can you sell that to me? Like, explain how you can sell that to me.
Right. So,
and I get the whole business decision, right? Like, I'm not even going to talk about that right now. Like the years of control, I don't care. Like I mean, this may sound crazy, but he's the best hitter on this. He's the best hitter on this team. And that includes Bryan Reynolds. He's the best hitter on this team right now.
I know you're beating the drum on Oneil Cruz, starting shortstop, opening day. And I'm not here to tell you I'm not, okay? But what I'm going to say is the very first game he's in the lineup, of course he hit that home run. And, I mean, you just went hard on Twitter about it. Hard. There's no reason. Everything you said right now basically is what you're saying from, like, day one, you know? And it's just Twitter. I'm not going to go on this whole rant. I want to wait for the show. But, like, I'm not going to base so much on that. Like, I get your point, and I would want to see him here as well. But it was game one. It was it was a great home run. I mean, we saw how low he hit that. I mean, he's at his ankles, right? And he took that one out yard. Like, he barely, it was effortless, and it went so deep. So, like, I get all the intrigue, but it's day one. Let's be patient still. Let's see, right? Like, he is a high risk, high reward type of player. Not to say anything, but I'm just saying, like, there's been some flaws, okay? We want to make sure that's tightened up. So let's play out for spring, because I would hate for you to pound the table, and then he goes 2 for 30 with 15 Ks, and now it's like, okay, I look silly, right? So let's pump the brakes a little bit. Like, I get what you're saying, right? But let's let spring play out before we start really, really doing that. Now, I'm still in the mindset, but today it's a little bit harder to really play that than it was that day, because as things are playing out, he's 5 for 8 with 2 home runs, both at his ankles basically. And we talked about like the first one how good it looked. The second was even more amazing because he hit the roof, the wind was blowing in. Who was the one that hit the ball that like he crushed it and it was a fly out because of the wind?
I don't remember who it was, but yeah, someone hit it. Yeah.
But regardless, right? Like there was a no doubter and then it was caught. Meanwhile, the same wind, Oneil Cruz takes it to the roof. So like we know what he can do. And then he just follows that up with, like you said, 114-mile-an-hour screamer. So things are looking pretty good for Oneil Cruz. I am with you, and I'm still reserving judgment on ownership and the GM at this point in time. Because they did call him up last year, which was out of the norm. They have changed CBA rules. So there is incentive to play him from day one because, hey, if he gets Rookie of the Year, which he can do, and he's showing he's capable of this, then you lose that anyways. So, like, what was the point of waiting? So I'm still reserving judgment. I am officially at a let's play it out. And once I see what happens, then I'll harp on him or not. I'm not going to do it yet. But he certainly is playing his way on this team so far. And if his competition is, once again, like we're talking about Kevin Newman, there's no competition. He's running away with it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he's going to develop any more at AAA, to be honest with you. Like, what's he going to do down there? Go mash. If he strikes out 27% of the time, he's still going to hit 300 and something down there because he hits the ball so damn hard. He's not going to get any better down there. He's got to see real pitching. He's got to play shortstop at the major league level. Don't send him down there to learn left field. It's just one of those things where he's going to put up the numbers in AAA, but he's not going to improve. Because if they want him to, let's say, bump the walk rate, lower the K rate, if he doesn't do that, he's still going to be mashing the ball. People are still going to be mad that he's not up. Let him work on that up here. I don't think he gets any better down at AAA.
I know he only played 6 games in AAA too, but in those 6 games, he hit .524 with 5 home runs. Like,
yeah, you're making
that's
point.
That's what he did. Like,
I get it. I guess all I wanted to say too is so the other thing about this as well is like I'm more focused on the player development. So if I personally feel like you're best suited in AAA, like I don't want you up here in the majors right now. We need to work on like the Tyler Glasnow situation to a degree. You know, like you need to work on some things. Let's work on it. Let's get you right till you get up here. I'm fine with that. Like, I don't care about public perception in that sense. I need to do what's best for this player because I want the best version of this player, period. And if I feel like I want to get things right before we get you up here, then I'm okay with it. So again, like, I guess what I'm getting at to this situation is so far he's showing that that's not a problem. Like he's not having flaws again, so far. It's not like he's struggling so far. So if he's doing it, then there isn't that excuse of being like of saying, I need to get this guy down there. And going back to the regime, right? Things have changed. So the other thing as well is Charrington's basically come out and said, AAA isn't for development. You know, like once you've mastered AA, we think you're ready. You're ready. It's not that the next step is AAA. So to me, some things speak. They feel he's ready because he was in AA last year and they moved up to AAA at the end of the year. And then he went to the majors, like debuted. So like to me, Charrington, I feel believes he's ready. And if he's doing what he's doing right now, and the person blocking him is Kevin Newman, then there shouldn't be that excuse. The only excuse would be if he has a poor spring.
It's just not going to happen. They're going to start Kevin Newman.
I don't know. We can differ, and that's fine. I'm just like, I'm open right now. I'm going to let them show me and prove it to me for all the reasons I said.
I mean, if they do start with Kevin Newman, then I hope to God that when they do call up Cruz, which will be in 3 weeks, right? They'll literally do it just so they can get the extra year of service time. So it'll give them 3-4 weeks. I hope he goes on to win National League Rookie of the Year. He gets the full year of service time and screws them over anyways. I feel like it's just, and I get like so many people, mentioning on Twitter, hey, this is the smart thing to do. This is the smart thing to do. Get an extra year of control, blah, blah, blah. Like, do you just not see like just what's wrong with it though? Like you literally saying, hey, we get that you're good enough to be on this team, but we don't want to pay you. So we're just not going to call you up. Like it's just evil business practices. If you were at work and your job and you were the best at what you did and your job was like, hey, you know what? We're just going to we're not going to let you do this because we would have to pay you more. So you're going to do this job instead and then we're going to give this other guy who isn't nearly as good as you. He's going to do this just because we don't want to pay you that much money. Right. So that's just kind of where I'm at with it. If they call him up at the end of April or beginning of May, and he goes on to be the player that we think he's capable of being, he's going to finish top 2 in the National League Rookie of the Year anyways, which means he's going to get the full year of service time, which means the Pirates just wasted all of that. They could have had him for a month. They could have had a draft pick out of it. So I think that's like we talked about the new CBA and the wrinkle that this adds. Like this is that wrinkle now. Like if you're the Pirates, do you just say, screw it, let's start him. He's going to win National League Rookie of the Year, and we're going to get that draft pick, right? Or are they going to operate the way they always have? And then in that case, it would be in the Pirates' best interest for him to not be good. Like I mean, that's basically what it comes down to. Like if the Pirates hold him back a month, the whole reason for doing that is to save money. Like it's to keep him for another year. So you basically have to hope he doesn't play up to his potential at that point. I don't like the message that sends a team. Like you should be putting your best players on the field at all times. I get if you're in a rebuild, sure, but like rebuilding is rebuilding, but like you still put the best players on the field that you have at your disposal. You don't tank while you're on the field, like with the club that you have. You tank in the off season when you keep Anthony Alford and Greg Allen on your roster. That's how you tank, right? You don't tank by leaving your talented players off the field.
So at what point do we move on past that 3-week mark and the Pirates just keep him down till June so he doesn't win Rookie of the Year?
Yeah, like what happens if he's in Indy and he's hitting 400 and he's got like 15 home runs and the Pirates are like, and meanwhile Kevin Newman's batting 204 and slugging 270. Like what are we doing? Like what are we doing at that point? But that's that
until June. So he doesn't win Rookie of the Year. So they don't get egg on their face.
So here's something I want to another wrinkle I want to throw in here, right? With the whole situation. Because you're right, Jim. Like the message, the idea, you're almost betting against him, right? The smart thing to do is to get the extra year. And in the situation that they're in now with the new CBA, you're betting against him. You don't want him to be good. Therefore, you can have that extra year because if he is good, it's eliminated anyways, right? So here's kind of my thought too. A player, think about Oneil Cruz, just himself, his whole situation, everything. Like if you're worried about losing that extra year, you know how you can combat that? You can just sign him to an extension. So if he is good, right, and he's everything you want him to be, you probably want him here. You want him like Angelo Kutchum. You want him like Starling Marte. I'm going to say this. It's a bad example, but at that time it wasn't. Like Gregory Polanco, right? Like these players, like you want to lock them up and then you don't care about that extra year. So if Oneil Cruz is good, you sign him and you don't worry about that. But let's think and look about Oneil Cruz, right? So he's not a Scott Boras agent. He's and I apologize if I mispronounce his name. Actually follows us on Instagram too, but Rafa Nieves is his agent. Okay. He's signed, like his players have signed deals. He was Gregory Polanco's agent when he signed that deal with the Pirates, right? He has been Jose Ramirez's agent, right? Lindor's, like he has done these extensions with his players. So you also have precedent with the agent that Oneil Cruz is with to get that done. So why are we worried? If he is good, that's good for you. You lock him up, and that year doesn't even matter. So guess what? Day one, you're playing.
So this is a good point you bring up, and I want to kind of point everyone to 2 years ago. Luis Robert was almost in like this exact same situation where like Luis Robert was clearly ready to play, but they weren't sure if they were going to bring him up opening day because of this exact situation. So what did the White Sox do with Luis Robert, who by all means is actually was actually a higher regarded prospect than Oneil Cruz, right?
Sure.
So yeah, so Luis Robert right before opening day, like I mean it was like a week before opening day, signed a 6-year, $50 million contract, right? To basically say, hey, here's your money. Up until free agency, this is what you're getting. And then you're also doing 2 option years on top of that, right? So he signed a 6-year, $50 million deal with 2 $20 million option years that could eventually make it an 8-year, $90 million contract, right? I think like you look at that deal and you say, this is exactly how you fix all of this. You look at this deal and you say, do this deal. Give Oneil Cruz a guaranteed $50 million over the next 6 years. And then you know what? If he's good, you can keep him 2 more years at $20 million a year, right? In 2027 and 2028, whenever that may be, 2028, 2029, right? Like that's how you fix all this. Because then the service time doesn't matter. He's going to be a free agent after the 6 years. If you don't want him, if you want to keep him, you've got those 2 option years that are at your disposal. So that right there, and I'm glad you brought that up because I kind of forgot about talking about this, but like that right there should be the exact framework of a deal that you're looking to do with Oneil Cruz.
100% agree. And like also to add to that is, it's dumb. And I mean, you see it, I feel like more and more. And I can't think of the players. I mean, obviously Tatis is a very known one. I mean, from day one, you thought that the game was going to be played with Tatis as well. Day one, the Padres called him up. They didn't play that game. That's a team that you normally think that would. They didn't play that game. Day one, they called up. And then you know what they did? They signed to an extension. It didn't matter. So I feel like the Royals just did that too. Am I incorrect, Jim? Didn't the Royals do it? Because I feel like there was another small, like a team that you would normally think would play the game, and like from day one they called up their player. But I don't feel like the Royals really have had anyone that caliber from day one. Wait,
no, I don't know the Royals.
Maybe not. I don't know. Maybe it wasn't them. Could be someone else. But like you have seen this recently too, where teams have done it. So it can be done. You don't have to feed into that excuse anymore. It can be done. Go ahead and sign into an extension, and there's nothing to worry about. Extension would be the best thing anyways. So now you don't have them for just 6 years. You can have them for 8.
And maybe I'm naive, but you would think that would be the smart thing to do is to call the guy up day one, because when you're at the table for extension, you want a little bit of good faith. And you're alienating your player right off the bat by manipulating. Every arbitration hearing you're going to go to is going to be contentious. Like, just give them one thing, and you're going to be trying to sign them for how long anyhow?
I mean, look at Chris Bryant, that whole situation. I mean,
Yeah.
for 6 years, he was just butting heads with the Cubs
He
all the
sued his
time
team.
because, yeah. I mean, so Chris Bryant, it happened with Kellenic last year. Same thing, like where Kellenic like publicly called out the Mariners for what they were doing. So yeah, I mean, I think, like I said, that Luis Robert deal, like I feel like it's a great deal on both sides. Oneil Cruz gets guaranteed $50 million. The Pirates get to lock him in. They can start him opening day, and then they can keep him for another 2 years if they want at a reasonable $20 million. If we think Oneil Cruz is going to do what we think he's going to do, that's going to be well worth it. And if you know what, you need to, you can trade him, right? Just like we trade every other person, whoever comes through here. But that at least takes away all of this whole stupid conversation that we have about, is he ready? Is he not? Does he need 3 weeks of development? Like, no, he doesn't. Like, the dude's ready. Everybody can see it. If this is like the easiest way to get it done, then like you got to do it.
Agree.
Yep.
Anyways,
So do we want to talk about who they optioned so far? Just want to do that real quick
we could.
because they did option a good bit.
We could.
And
They basically took like all the guys who were non-roster invitees. They pretty much sent them all to minor league camp. It feels like. I don't know if they actually optioned too many guys. There was a lot of just
It was like
reassigning
3, right?
to minor league camp. Yeah,
well, yeah,
Like
well, reassigning, I
Swaggerty.
should say.
yeah. I guess he was optioned technically.
Yeah, so mainly Swaggerty was the one I wanted to touch on. I think
Okay.
he's definitely a guy you see
Mhm.
that sees a lot of playing time this year in the outfield because there's nobody else. But I would have loved to see him on the opening day roster, but not playing for over a year. It's probably the smart thing to do, send him down there. But I would hope maybe a month or so goes by, you see him in Pittsburgh.
I mean, absolutely. If you're thinking about this outfield, and we talked about it a little bit, like Gamble, Reynolds, and then you're throwing someone else out there. Like if that someone else just doesn't work out after 30 days, and you've got Swaggerty playing fairly well in AAA, then yeah, Swaggerty I think gets that like first shot. But I think it was just a situation where like I think, had he played all last year, he probably would have been on the majors last year, right? He'd probably be our starting outfielder this year. But just with him getting hurt and missing time, like you probably do need to get him just some time against live hitting.
And that's what
So
I say. So the
I understand that option. Yeah.
I mean, he is still dealing. So like here it's mentioned, he is still dealing with left shoulder soreness. He's delayed his throwing program, so he's not throwing right now, but he's allowed to hit.
Mm-hmm.
And like with that said, so like he was in spring training, but you never saw him in the lineup, and of course that was why. So I think this, of course, makes sense that he's there. But with that said, I don't know how much playing time he does get. Like I don't know if it's going to be a month because of the injury he's still clearly dealing with. Again, this is like the Polanco injury. So I don't know how this is going to linger with him. He's already having setbacks already, but I agree. All things perfect, he's up here playing center field and not Anthony Alford and Greg Allen and that whole mess. It's Swaggerty and we can see him.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just not sure when that's going to be. That's kind of his problem.
Yeah.
Matt Frazier, another one that he got reassigned, correct?
Yep.
Did he get reassigned to? He's on AA. Well, he got reassigned to trip or minor league camp. I can't.
I think yeah. I think at this point everybody just gets sent to AAA,
Yeah,
and then
they move down.
Yeah.
But it's another
Frazier,
guy
someone
you could see.
Yeah, he's going to be interesting to see if they actually start him at AA because that's where he ended last year, or do they get really aggressive with him and put him in AAA, right? Like we mentioned, Sherrington mentions AAA as those guys who are ready and like they're there for when you need to call him up. Like, is he one of those guys now, or are they still thinking he needs more time? So, yeah, it's going to be interesting. Is it AA or AAA for him? AAA would be a jump because I think he was only in Altoona for like a month and a half or so.
It wasn't long
last year,
and he didn't really perform the greatest in Altoona. I feel. I could look it up, but
he played pretty well.
I thought he struggled a bit.
Yeah. 288, 356, 492.
Never mind.
He hit pretty well. Yeah.
Never mind.
Way to go, idiot.
Yeah.
Thank
The power wasn't there as much as it was in Greensboro. Like he hit 20 homers in Greensboro and only 3 in Altoona in 37 games. But the extra base hits and the hitting and the on getting on base, it was all there.
Perfect.
He had 12 doubles in 37 games in Altoona.
Yeah, 205 ISO in AA in his 23 or 37 games. Not too shabby.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny too. So like in my head, I'm thinking, okay, so maybe he just started off slow. And that's what I'm thinking, right? He made the jump. He started slow. Oh no, he was just a monster at the beginning part. Like
he adjusted pretty good. Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, that would be an aggressive promotion though. Like basically saying, hey, you only get a month in AA. Now you're here in AAA. So I don't know. That'll be interesting to see what they do with him.
Right.
I would think he stays in AA because just what we've talked about, Sherrington kind of treating AA like the real AAA.
That's kind of how I felt. Now, of course, I felt a little bit more because I thought he struggled a little bit, but then I know he didn't struggle. I still feel it, just not that much of a, I guess thought. But anyways,
it could be kind of like what we talked about before, but wanting to keep that core group together as well.
That's a good point. But what is nice, right? Because I think you'd see that path. Like even if he starts in AA, he's in AA. If he's mastering, he's doing well. Swaggerty, I just feel like it's going to be when the health is there, right? When he's healthy enough, he's up there. So like, as much as we hate the outfield right now, and I'm not even saying these two guys are going to pan out, but by the end of the season, it could be Swaggerty, Frazier, Reynolds. So like, at least by then, there's something you actually want to watch.
Right. This is why I joked about at the beginning about not being excited about opening day. I'm more excited about June and July because that's when it should at least start to become watchable.
That's fair.
It's a good point. I mean, because you got to think, especially in the outfield, you've got Frazier, you've got Sawinski also on the 40-man. You've got Kenan Smith and Jigba on the 40-man. So like those are all guys who we could probably see this year. And then not to mention then someone like Cal Mitchell too, who's not on the 40-man, but he's pretty much knocking on the door there where, I would expect Cal Mitchell at some point to play in Pittsburgh next year, like this coming year. Like they're gonna need bodies throughout the course of the year, and at some point, I feel like Cal Mitchell could be one of those bodies.
Mm-hmm.
So there are some at least intriguing pieces knocking on the door. I noticed you did not mention Marcano, who got reassigned. That was rude of you.
We're talking.
I did not mention him.
Good players.
That should be a guy knocking on the door to take Kevin Newman's spot or Oneil Cruz's spot.
I mean, he'll take Kevin Newman's spot. That's the spot he's taking. He's going to be the next Kevin Newman. Everyone hates because he can't hit.
I do, just to touch on Marcano for real quick though. It is kind of disappointing that he's just already optioned because you would think he should be just about ready by now. With all the hype that was surrounding him just last year at the beginning of the year, starting on the Padres opening day roster. And he just kind of stinks.
Yeah, maybe.
He did home. He did hit. He actually hit a home. He actually hit a home run, which was pretty amazing. He did hit a home run. Yeah.
Tyler can hit a home run.
Yeah.
Off 88.
Oh, yeah.
So
easy money. So yeah, Marcano next wave. Marcano, Swaggerty, Frazier.
Right. Do we want to get the next thing? Do we want to wrap this up? we touched on our Cruz. We want to sign him so we don't have to go through arbitration, all these processes, right? So get up here day one, sign him to an extension. Don't have to go through arbitration because we have Bryan Reynolds who will see arbitration right now. I know something we want to discuss, invent. There's part we want to discuss, invent, because of like how far apart they are or how little apart they are, however you want to look at it. I think we're a little unfair to that. Like, my point of view on that is I know and I get it's just like $600,000 right now, but this does set the tone for the rest of arbitration, right? Like, all the raises are a percentage, what you're making. So like the percent on 4.2 is it? I forget. Is it 4.2 and 4.9?
4.25 and 4.9.
Okay. So like the percent on 4.2 is a big difference from 4.9, right? So like at the end of arbitration, it definitely could be millions of dollars, right? So I get that. I'm not going to harp so much on it's just 600 because today it's just 600. My issue is you couldn't meet anywhere in the middle. Like, you couldn't just go ahead and get this thing done. And on top of that, the bigger issue is, you know how you avoid that and get it done? You also talk about an extension, which apparently was never discussed if you speak to Bryan Reynolds. So, guys, take the floor.
Go ahead, Tyler.
Oh, my opinion's pretty simple.
Tim's like, I'm going last.
No, I have a pretty simple opinion on it, and it's just give him a damn 600 and whatever thousand that he wants. Like, why are we haggling over this right now? It goes back to what I said earlier. Just operate in good faith. The guy's earned this extra $600,000. Just give him the money. And if you're going to worry about like future arbitration guys, well, you gave him this. Treat everyone fairly, but not equally. Bryan Reynolds is different. He wants that money, give it to him. I don't want to hammer out any more extension talk. You guys can go ahead.
So I agree that the bigger sin here is that there was no talk of an extension, right? Like when that came out, and it was like, well, we were never told anything about an extension on our end. You know, they never approached us. And when Bryan Reynolds says something like that, it just makes you, especially with all these Marlins rumors going around, right? Where, you know, was there actually a deal in place last year that got vetoed by Derek Jeter at the last minute, right? Like, is that true? I mean, it's a report that's out there.
Right.
Was that true? Like, did that happen?
And to kind of interject,
yeah.
by a guy who people dismiss, like, oh, just this Miami podcaster, but he's pretty much been on the money. He's giving Pirate fans more Bryan Reynolds news than anyone in Pittsburgh media is. And as we're kind of clearly seeing, it's been correct. So, yes, continue on.
So after getting that news and then learning that, like, the Pirates aren't even approaching Bryan Reynolds with any sort of extension this offseason, all it really does is make you think, okay, so is this team actually serious of keeping Bryan Reynolds? Like, is it? That sounds like the behavior of a team that doesn't really think that Bryan Reynolds is going to be on their team in a couple of years. Like, why even bother signing him to an extension if you're just going to trade him anyways, right? So that's kind of what I'm reading into all of this. Is this just doesn't sit well with me in like a future circumstances kind of a way, right? It just doesn't make me think that they think Bryan Reynolds is a part of this team's future, or they would have at least tried. So the arbitration process is the arbitration process. Every team does it. I mean, you look at the Braves. The Braves, Dansby Swanson and the Braves are going to arbitration over $200,000. Austin Riley and the Braves are going to arbitration over $200,000. Lucas Giolito is going to arbitration over like $250,000. Dude was one of the best pitchers in baseball last year, right? So like this is a thing that just like happens. I don't really think Bryan Reynolds is going to get too upset about it. Like, I think he'd rather have a deal in place, absolutely. But he also probably thinks he deserves to get paid what he's worth, right? Which, by all accounts, is somewhere around $4.5 million is what we've been seeing as kind of like his projection, right? So the Pirates are below the projection. Reynolds is above the projection. So, yeah, like Tyler said, why couldn't we just come together and figure something out in between, in the middle?
I say just give it to him.
Oh, that was Denaro. You said let's find something out, in the middle. Yeah, like I said, the thing about this more than anything that rubs me the wrong way is this is something. This whole process just seems like it's for someone that you don't think is going to be part of your future, and that's what sucks.
Which
I could
Jim to his next point of just trade him.
I could be wrong. I could be absolutely wrong, and I hope I'm wrong. Like I think the Pirates should absolutely extend Bryan Reynolds, but like, yeah, if your logic is that you aren't going to extend him, I mean, we've talked at length about this. Like the timetable, does it add up? Does it make sense? If you are going to not extend him, do you just trade him? And that would suck.
That's where I think you're hitting it on the head, Jim. So I said this in our group chat a little bit. So let's go back. Let's go back when Cherington took over, right? He takes over. I think many of us felt like a rebuild's coming. Makes sense to have a rebuild. Cherington essentially rebuilds it, right? It wasn't like right off the bat. It wasn't like he just had a fire sale and everyone's gone. So there's like some questions, but I think Marte was traded, Bell was traded. Like there was definitely trades that happened throughout, but they never truly said we're rebuilding. Like it's not like Ben Cherington came out and said we are going to rebuild. He just said some things. We assumed the rebuild was coming. He did it, and we were all happy, right? Because one of the things that we've all talked about with the Pirates is like the communication. Like they don't communicate. It's terrible. They have this PR problem. And then so that's what I'm getting at. Like in 2020, Cherington took over. We maybe felt it was better. And I think maybe what we did, maybe why we felt it was better was because they were doing what we wanted them to do. We were all on the same page. So we knew they were rebuilding, even though they didn't say it. And I think what's happening now is a lot of fans are upset. Oh, it's the same old Pirates. They're not communicating. They don't know how to communicate. Same old Pirates. Now we're upset. But I think the problem is it's the same as 2020. And the difference is we wanted to hear 2020 because they're giving what we wanted. And now that it's 2022, they're communicating just the same. But we don't want to hear their communication. So now we think it's a problem. But I think all in all, they are communicating with us. They're telling us. We just don't want to believe it. And it's what you're saying, Jim. I fear more and more every day. Bryan Reynolds is not in their future plans at all. And it's like all the things are adding up. If they're in the future plans, well, they'd add more talent this year. Like this would have been the year they would have proved upon, right? They're telling us clear as day, 2024 probably isn't even it. Like it's 2025. Well, where's Bryan Reynolds fit in that plan? Well, he doesn't unless you extend him. Well, cool. Where's the extension talks? Well, they're not there. Cool. We're going to arbitration if there's a little bit of money, right? Well, the little bit of money doesn't really matter right now. It matters towards the end. Well, you're a little more marketable if you're cheaper, right? I don't see like you're saying, Jim, like to me, it's the same thing. Like, I don't think they're treating Bryan Reynolds as a guy you're building a team around. Tyler makes the point. You give him what you want. Special treatment. I'm all about that too. Like I'm not going to treat Cole Tucker the same as Bryan Reynolds. I can replace Cole Tucker. I can't really replace Bryan Reynolds. So I will cater to Bryan Reynolds. That's what you do to those type of players. Maybe we're not seeing that because they don't see it. I'm not saying talent-wise. I'm not saying like they don't believe in his talents and he's going to become, a terrible player or whatever. It's just that you're not that guy. I need Nick Gonzalez to come up here. I'm going to treat Nick Gonzalez that way. I need Henry. I'm going to treat him that way. Like, these are my guys. You're not my guy. And I'm sorry. I'm not going to treat you that way. You're not in my window. And that's what I think we are ultimately seeing. We don't want to believe it, And that's why we think there's a communication style. But if you're listening the same way you were listening in 2020, I think the writing's on the wall that Bryan Reynolds is not in the plans. And there are all these rumors, and at any gym, you're going to listen. Like, I get that too. Like, even if I want to keep him, I'm not going to stop the Marlins from offering me. But I think they're listening, and they're at least they're doing the smart thing. They're not just trading Bryan Reynolds to trade him, but I think they're listening. And when that package is met, Reynolds is gone.
I'm sad.
So, when's June?
like you said, the writing's all over the wall. I just got my blinders on, thinking, yeah, maybe we'll get an extension done. These trade talks, you gotta listen on them just in case you get blown away. But there's a reason people are calling, and the fact that Bryan Reynolds just straight up said there's no extension talk, it's all right there.
I already said everything I have to say.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
This ended on a down note, even for a Pirates podcast. But
Let's go Bucks.
It just, what can you tell me differently? What can you tell me differently? I don't want to steal your thunder, Jim, but like how you said it in our group chat, like as we're talking, it doesn't make sense. It would make sense for them to keep him, extend him, improve upon this year. Like find that window, go and improve, get better because this division's weak. That makes sense, and that's why we want to believe it and we want to see it. But that's not what they're doing, and they're telling us that's not what we're doing. They're communicating the same way. We just don't want to hear what they're saying. So let's.
Yeah, I mean, I think the exact what I used was, I get it. We were in a rebuild. During that rebuild, we got the number 7 pick. We got the number 1 pick, and now we have the number 4 pick. Those are 3 very talented people who are going to be added into this organization, right? And so that's why you, I guess, go through that process. It sucks as fans. You're watching really shitty baseball for 3 years, but you hope that because of that, it brings in all this talent and you can be good down the road. But then it's like, okay, well, how long is that road? Like, how long is that road that we need to travel down before we get to the end of the road, right? So it's kind of, so it's like one of those things where like I hate to be like you're the little kid in the car on a road trip and you're asking your dad, hey, are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Right? Like we've already been driving a pretty long ways down this road. When are we getting to the beach? Like when's the beach?
Well, if you're an elite coastal like myself, Jim, it's only 10 minutes away.
Right. But I mean, that's exactly it. So like when, like we still haven't, like they haven't shown us when that is going to be. Like we're just driving down a road right now, and it's like there's no exit signs. We're in the middle of the desert. There's nowhere to go, and it's just like an endless road that has no destination at the end of it. Because this year obviously isn't the destination. If you just put 2 and 2 together, next year clearly can't be the destination because this year isn't the destination. Like this, they're like the destination is not even anywhere near you. And so then if next year is not the destination, then what are we doing here? Like how long do we need to be driving down this road?
Right. Like
I think that's just
we haven't even stopped off the road to get snacks. Like, we haven't made a stop for snacks yet.
No, there's no exits. There's no exits available. We're like we passed that sign. Like if you've ever driven like in the middle of the desert, you'll see a sign where it's like no services, like 190 miles, and you're just like, well, we're on our own, right? That's where we're at right now. We're like, hopefully, we're like more than halfway through past that sign. Like we're getting to the next exit, but I don't know. I have no idea. They have shown no signs of putting on their blinker to get off at an exit. Like Siri hasn't told us, 20 miles to our next exit.
Right. Tyler?
I'm just sad now because my life has been a constant road trip, and we stopped at some shitty pond for 3 years, and then we just got back on the road.
Was it a pond though? Like, was it maybe a mirage?
Pretty much what it was.
Maybe we just made that up. I don't know. Did those years exist?
That's true.
Oh,
We've been driving on that road for basically our entire lives. So
yeah, I take it back. It's not 95. It's 80. It is 80.
Yeah.
And we're in the middle of the U.S. still.
And the car is running out of gas.
Yes. I'm depressed too.
And gas prices are getting really expensive.
Thanks.
So we can't keep driving that much longer. Come on.
All right. We can't keep this going. Not this vibe. So we got to end this. So I don't know. Any last words? Anything you want to talk about? Anything maybe you want to see or
Hey, Mitch Keller hit 100
next year or week?
Mitch Keller hit 100 today. So let's all get happy about that.
There you go. Chew on that. All right, then. I guess that's it. So we will talk to you next week on NS9 Live. But again, if you're into bets, into sports betting, Saturday, Tyler, you going to be on it officially?
I do not know.
Okay. If not, NS9 Bets this Saturday will be on. If Tyler isn't, there might be a surprise guest. Imagine that. I kind of hope you're not. Honestly, I don't want you on, Tyler. Nothing against you. Actually, everything
right
against
now,
you.
I would say it's a 75% chance I am not.
So take the under. What are you betting? What are you betting that if you're here or not? Because I'm taking the opposite then.
I would very much venture to guess I will not be on.
All right, then you're on. I'm taking you're on. I'm putting 100 that you're on the show.
Can't help it. Life's crazy.
It is, especially for a Pirate fan. All right, let's get out of here then. Thanks everyone for watching. We'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.
Peace out, yourself.
See you guys.